Financial independence, retire early, or FIRE, is a movement with its origins in the early 1990s, which aims to give people financial control over their lives and facilitate their early exit from the labour force, retiring at 40 or 45, for example, rather than 65 or increasingly older. Enormous internet communities and extensive literatures exist, reflecting on how best to achieve FIRE. The community on Reddit alone numbers over 2 million members. Time magazine has covered the topic, and shelves of books have been published about how you too can find financial independence and retire early. Many of the impulses behind FIRE are understandable. For instance, people no longer want to carry out wage labour for most of their waking lives, only retiring when their best years are likely already behind them. They want the ability to decide about how their time is used, and they want to dedicate themselves to their passions or give back to their community. In this, FIRE is aligned with radical post-work thinkers and those activists today who argue for the ecological and social benefits of working fewer hours. In a capitalist, work-oriented society, even our free time is rarely free. As Bob Black wrote, "The only thing free about so-called free time is that it doesn't cost the boss anything. Free time is mostly devoted to getting ready for work, going to work, returning from work, and recovering from work. Free time is a euphemism for the peculiar way labour as a factor of production not only transports itself at its own expense to and from the workplace, but assumes primary responsibility for its own maintenance and repair." Normally, the steps taken in the direction of financial independence involve building up enough of a financial reserve to eventually be able to live off a 4% withdrawal rate from what you have built up. The pathways to that state of independence include maximising saving rates from wage labour, often in highly paid roles in tech or finance companies, maximising your income from side hustles, investing any surplus income in the stock market, usually passively, and speculating on property or becoming a landlord, to name just a few. There are variations of FIRE which people aim for, such as Fat FIRE, which focuses on retirement on a high income, and Lean FIRE, which is more frugal or minimalist and focused on getting by with less. Either way, the formula is generally the same. However, while the desire to rethink the normal working life is laudable and the movement is growing, cracks of discontent have started to show. After all, FIRE is fundamentally an individualistic response to a collective problem. It involves focusing on individual or household escape rather than collective liberation. Unfortunately, the form that FIRE takes generally revolves around selling your labour to the highest bidder in the short term for a medium-term escape from the system. This is a self-defeating process, often leading to burnout. For an increasingly strained working class, with so many already living below the poverty line, the possibility of FIRE is usually reserved for the privileged few, many of whom will inherit financial capital to boost their journey. Paradoxically, it is a very capitalist form of anti-capitalism. Instead of investing in collective infrastructure for more sane, humane, and ecological lives, FIRE enthusiasts invest in the stock market and hope for the best. FIRE comes from a desire to escape the machine, to stop giving up most of your working day to someone else's profit, and to spend your time doing what your heart finds most valuable. Its practitioners often learn to live below their means in frugal ways. There is a strange paradox, however, in FIRE's advocacy of extreme savings. After all, if everyone were to behave this way, the very capitalist growth machine they depend on for their early retirement would come crashing down. This is often described as the paradox of thrift. The assumptions underneath FIRE are also an ecological disaster. It depends on compound growth-based economic models and assumes the feasibility of infinite growth on a finite planet. We are never really independent after all. We're caught in webs of connection with each other and with ecology. We should instead look to alternatives which do not require such self-annihilating paradoxes. We live at a time when we need to be cultivating ecological codependence, not individualistic financial independence. Some of those alternatives are starting to be explored elsewhere on this channel.